Hi students, welcome back to DuckFlix. We are springing into Geometry and Measurement, Algebra, Patterns and Graphing, Unit 9. Today we are going to cover lessons 9.2 and 9.3, Ordered Pairs and Graphing Data. Please take a minute to review our lesson scale. By the end of this lesson, we want you to be able to graph points on a coordinate plane to solve real-world mathematical problems and be able to display data. Go ahead and record your beginning of unit scale in your notebook. You may pause if you want to review the scale. Let's take a look at some of the mathematical practices that we will be using. We know that we want to make sense of problems and persevere in solving them. We want to just keep going. We want to think what makes sense by reasoning. We want to model with our mathematics, attend to precision, look for and make sense of structure because we're in a patterns unit, and we want to make connections. Please take a minute to review the lesson vocabulary. Hopefully you've already talked about some of these terms in class. But if you haven't, go ahead and pause, and I will be discussing them throughout this lesson. Let's take a look at plotting ordered pairs. Okay, now when we talk about ordered pairs, that means that we have two numbers. Okay, we have, for example, we have a 0 and a 0. Okay, so point A that we're going to plot is going to be called our origin, okay? And we're going to plot it right here where the two axes meet, okay? The two axes. And this right here, I'm just going to go ahead and label it so you remember this is the origin that was on the vocabulary slide on the previous page. Now, I'm going to place an A next to it because we're going to call that coordinate point A. Next, we're going to plot point B. Now, when we're reading ordered pairs, the first number here is always on the x-axis, okay, from left to right. Okay, so down here is our x-axis, which means the second number, okay, like so for example here, the 7 would be on our y-axis. Okay, so now with that being said, we're going to plot our x-coordinate. Okay, the 3 is actually called the coordinate. The axis is where it goes. And our 3 coordinate, or our number 3 is x-coordinate. We are going to find our 3, okay, because we're along the x-axis. Then over here is the y-axis. And once we've gone over on the x-axis to 3, we're going to go up 1, and we're going to plot our point right here. Okay, so this coordinate is 3, 1, or coordinate B. Okay, point B. Okay, now let's do the same thing for the next. I'm going to just erase that real quick. Let's do the same thing for the next ordered pair. So we have 5, 7. So remember, 5 is our x-coordinate. We can find it along the x-axis. So here's our 5. We're going to go up until we see the number 7. And we're going to plot our point right here. And that is going to be point C. Okay, that is our coordinate, point C. And it disappeared. Hold on. All right, there we go. All right, next, let's do D. We have 6, 9. Okay, so we're going to find our 6. We're going to go up to the 9. We're going to plot our point, and we're going to label as point D. Okay, I think we get the picture by this point, so we're going to go over to 9. We're not going up at all. Okay, there's no, our y-coordinate is a 0, so we're actually going to plot the point directly on the x-axis. I don't know why these keep disappearing. There we go. Okay, and then lastly, and we're going to call that point E. And then lastly, we have point F. We're going to find the 10 on the x-axis. we're going to go up to 8 on the y-axis. Okay, so remember, our 10 is called our x-coordinate, and our 8 is called our y-coordinate. And we're going to plot our point on 10, 8 as point F. So now what we are being asked, okay, our question down at the bottom says, what is the distance between point B, okay, so point B I'm going to highlight is right here on 3, 1, and point C, which is on 5, 7. Okay, actually, what we're going to do, because in 5th grade we are not going to be doing diagonal differences between two distances, we are actually going to move point C over to 3, 7. Okay, so I'm actually going to change this to 3, 7. And we want to find the vertical distance between point B and C. So, we know that we have 3, 1 is point B, and coordinate C is 5, 7. Okay, point C is 3, 7. I changed it. 3, 7. It's a terrible looking 3. Okay, so since the 3's are the same, okay, we don't need to do anything with those two numbers, but what we're going to do is we're going to subtract the 7 that we have here at point C from the 1 that we have down here at point B. And what we're going to find is that the distance is 6 units. Okay, so the distance is 6 units because that's the difference between the 7 and the 1. 7 minus 1 equals 6. All right, now let's go on to the we do. So now we're going to take what we learned a step further. We have Olivia, and she's practicing for her upcoming writing assessment. Below is a table with her progress this week. Graph her progress on the coordinate grid. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is I want to remind you that this is our x-axis. And over here is our y-axis. And where the two axes meet at the 0, 0 mark, the 0, 0, is called the origin. Now, the one thing that we need to fix, because Ms. Walker could not find a graph that would fit for this problem. I guess I could have used a blank one. But in any case, I am going to change my y-axis to reflect the numbers that we are using in this problem. So since we have a range from 15 to 50 and we're counting by 5s and 10s, I'm just going to start here and I'm going to make this a 5 and this a 10 and this a 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Okay, and so the y-axis is going to represent time in minutes, and you actually want to label it. Anytime you're making a graph, you want to label what the y-axis is talking about, and same thing for the x-axis. So the x-axis is going to be the total pages. And then we always want to give all data, any charts, any graphs, a title. And we know we're talking about Olivia's writing progress. So up here we're going to give this graph a title, Olivia's writing progress. Okay, and very quickly I'm going to graph her progress for you. So we're going to find where we had the total number of pages is 1. Okay, and we're going to be on our x-axis here. And then we're going to go up to our time of 15 minutes. Okay, and that's actually going to be our first coordinate. That's going to be our first point that we're going to plot. Okay, then we're going next to 3 pages. And it says that she did that in 30 minutes. And then we have 4 pages, and it says she did that in 35 minutes. And then we have 6 minutes, or sorry, 6 pages, not minutes, 6 pages. And she completed those in 45 minutes. And then lastly, we have 7 pages, which she completed in 50 minutes. Okay, so we can see her progress increases as time goes on. She writes more and more pages. Okay, so by the time she's up to 7 pages, she's written for 50 minutes. And this is how you would plot her progress on a coordinate grid. Okay, lastly, we've come to the you do. Go ahead and take a minute to read the problem. I'm going to want you to apply all of your learning from this lesson into this one problem. You're going to be interpreting data from the chart. You're going to be graphing on a coordinate grid. And you're also going to be finding the difference in the height between the plants from week 2 to week 4. Go ahead and pause the video. And when we return, we will go ahead and check our answer. Okay, we're back. So let's go ahead and check how we did. So week 1, our height of the plant was 1 inch. Week 2, our height of the plant was 3 inches. Week 3, our height of the plant was 5 inches. And week 4, the height of Miss Loveland's plant was 8 inches. Okay, so that's where you would have plotted your points. Okay, and we could have, so we have number of weeks. Okay, so these are the weeks. So you would have wanted to label your x-axis. Over on the y-axis, you would have labeled height. And make sure you have inches. And then we're going to want to have a title for our graph, which is plant growth each week. And you will find that if we then found the difference between week 2 and week 4, week 4 we had 8 inches, week 2 we had 3 inches, and if we have 8 inches and we subtract the 3 inches, we know that there is a difference of 5 inches. Now I want to remind you one last time, because you didn't necessarily have a vertical or horizontal practice problem to find the difference. So I'm going to plot one more point on here. I'm going to plot a point right here. And on this coordinate grid, if I were to ask you to find the difference between a coordinate at 1, 1 and a coordinate at 1, 4, you would say, well, the x-axis has the same coordinates of 1, but the y-axis, we have a 4, and if we're subtracting 1, there is a difference of 3 units. Okay, so I just want to kind of refresh your brain one more time, that if I were to ask you a vertical or a horizontal, which means we're going left to right, finding the difference in units, that is how you would tackle that problem. All right, let's go ahead and reflect on our learning. Go ahead and record your end of lesson scale, and we will see you in class tomorrow. Have a great night.